Well, wait a minute now. You're starting to film now?
Yep.
My name is John Torchia. I remember Pearl Harbor. I was just 16 and a half at that time. I think I was still in high school. I couldn't understand why some of my Japanese friends had to leave. And I said, "You're a citizen. They can't do that to you." And they said, "Well, they're doing it." And they did. They went to relocation camps. I had a good opinion of the military. Well, of course, there was a draft during World War II. I volunteered, but most people were drafted. My mother had died, and it was only my father. And he wasn't too happy about it, but he was willing to sign for me if that's what I wanted to do. I really wanted to enlist in the Navy. After Navy boot camp, I was put in what they call the hospital corps, and I became a Navy corpsman. Unknown to me, all the medical personnel in the Marine Corps, including doctors, nurses, and corpsmen, were all Navy personnel. And that's where I ended up, in the Marine Corps in an infantry company. So I was just like an infantryman. And I went through additional field medical training there in Camp Pendleton. Then when we went overseas, we went to the big island of Hawaii. We had a tent camp there, and we went through a lot of training, not only on the ground, but amphibious training. On February 19, 1945, we landed on Iwo Jima. We climbed down those rope ladders, down into the Higgins boats, and went the rest of the way that way. And I was in the third wave. Shells were landing around. One mortar shell landed near me, but apparently the volcanic soil there deflected the shrapnel. It didn't hit me, but it hit somebody farther away. And so I had to patch him up. The original plan was to take Mount Suribachi the first day, but that wasn't to be. It took 5 days. I didn't go up Mount Suribachi, but I saw the flag being raised, the famous flag. Well, after Mount Suribachi fell to us, the object was to capture the airfield. The outfit I was in were on the opposite coast from where we landed. I remember there was a small rock island off the coast, and we dug in the foxholes. Apparently a Japanese soldier had swum from where they were at night and onto the little rock island, just maybe 50 yards off the coast. He was a spotter. He could see us. We couldn't see him. And the next morning, he apparently called our positions to their mortars, and they really reined it in on us. That's where I was hit by a piece of shrapnel. It hit my helmet. Made a big dent in the helmet and jerked my neck. My neck was sore for a few days. Our commanders figured that there was somebody out there, and they called airstrikes on it. That was a pretty close call. I was treating a Marine who had a fractured ankle, and I splintered it and so forth. And then I heard the Japanese machine guns, and they had a particular sound different from our machine guns. The lowest part I could find was a track in the loose soil made by a tank. And there was a little depression there, and that's where I hit the deck there. Behind me there was a little terrace. I could see the machine gun bullets hitting that terrace. They're going over me. It stopped after a while, and that's when I got up and joined my company. They had the darndest look on their faces because when I got up and joined them, because they said, we thought that you were dead by by the machine guns. The equipment I had was a medical kit with bandages and morphine and sulfa powder and that type of thing. And I was issued a .45 pistol. All the Marines in my outfit, they always wanted to be in my foxhole because I had the .45, which is a good weapon for foxholes. We had hand grenades too, and at night we had tripwires with flares, you know, quite a ways from us, maybe 25, 30 yards away from us. From time to time flares went off, and that's when we used hand grenades to throw in that direction of the flare. And also, each company had 3 60mm mortars. And the way we operated at night, that they would set off a flare sent up by mortars, and they timed it so that as one flare died down, another one lit up. That saved a lot of us because the Japanese knew the island and we didn't. There were caves, and at the mouth of the cave, nobody would go in and investigate there. Demolition people would just set a charge and seal that entrance to the caves. But they had a lot of entrances and a lot of underground tunnels. We got pulled off from there and put over where we're going to be the ones that push them through. And I thought to myself, well, we're going to finish it today, and I sure would hate to get wounded or killed now. And so the Marines with flamethrowers went first, and they were spraying the areas with the flamethrowers, and then we followed. That was our job. We finished. We pulled back, but that night, when we had pulled back, the remaining Japanese had infiltrated and were attacking the airfield, and where we had planes and the pilots and so forth. But that same day we left the island. The Army garrison troops took over. For them to surrender was out of the question. It was better to die for the emperor than to be taken prisoner, in other words. The Japanese mounted an attack at night. It didn't succeed. The Marines surrounded them. And the next morning at daylight, you saw at least 50 or 60 Japanese soldiers with a hand blown off and their head bashed in because they used hand grenades to commit suicide rather than be captured. When they surrendered, actually, we were on board troop transports heading to invade Japan when they surrendered after the 2 atomic bombs. We went through the town, and Japanese, we didn't see any of them. We didn't see any civilians. They're all indoors. They had their orders, I guess, that they were not to interfere. Certainly the public was behind us. And they were behind us after the war was over, too. I think there was more support for that war than like Vietnam, for example. I think they all thought that we had to avenge Pearl Harbor. During that time, we were the greatest generation. Brokaw, he wrote a book, and he called it the greatest generation. I think that the experience helped me to grow up and to appreciate a lot of things because I lucked out and came through it, and I know a lot of friends that military friends didn't make it back, so I don't think I have any regrets. I think people in the country and all of the countries will come to realize that this planet is all we have, that we need to cooperate and keep it safe, because otherwise everyone will be in danger. I think that war will become unnecessary and obsolete, but I don't know when. Sometimes if you pray, God will come through for you.